Today we're doing Dotloop. I'm so excited to see all of your faces, and hopefully soon we can do all of this in person and not on Zoom. But I do like the convenience of still being able to do it on Zoom. So like I said, today is Dotloop, and today's going to be very basic Dotloop. We're not going to do a whole lot of advanced Dotloop stuff. However, if we have enough time, I will absolutely show you some other Dotloop tricks and gimmicks. It feels daunting at first, but once you do one loop, it is so easy and it's very intuitive. So if you ever get lost, just kind of think, if you were making this, what would you do? And you'll be able to figure it out pretty quickly. Okay, so we're going to get started. First, though, I want to ask, everyone here has a Dotloop login, correct? If you don't, raise your hand, or you do not, Lindsay? Okay. You can take yourself off mute. What is your email address that you want to use?
Well, my sister and I sort of work as a partnership. So we use the same email. So we go propertytwinsnashville@gmail.
Say that one more time.
propertytwinsnashville@gmail.
Okay. When I am done with the class, I will add you to it and you'll get a link. So just follow along now with us. And for those of you that do have logins, I do suggest you going on and logging in and getting yourself kind of moving with me on doing the different things. Also, one other little tidbit, I like to collaborate, teach. So please at any time, you don't have to stay on mute, interrupt me, ask questions. Otherwise, I'm just the talking head on the screen telling you things to do. So do not hesitate at all to interrupt me. Okay, so first things, let's share the screen. Awesome, it works. That's usually the first hang up I have. Okay, so when you log in, this is what it's going to look like. It has different viewing things. So if your screen does not look just like this, if you look over here where the little hamburger is with the drop-down menu, these are your different ways to view it. So yours could look like this, a grid view. However you want to view it, however your eyesight works, however you like things organized, these are the different ways you can look at it. For me, I like the list view with a little bit more details. One thing to note when I'm going through this training is I have access to everyone's loop in the company that works, because I'm an admin for Dotloop. So there are some things that are going to not look just like mine, and that's okay, because I have a couple more features having administrative rights to other people's loops. So is everyone having trouble that has a login, cannot get logged in? Let's start there. Everyone is on the screen, right?
Yes.
Awesome. All right, the first thing we're going to do, I think this helps a lot, is you're going to do the drop-down menu next to your name, and you're going to click My Account. You're going to want to make sure all the information in your profile is correct. So those type of things get auto-populated every time you do a form. This will save you a lot of time. So you'll go over here to the left, you have account settings, but you're going to go to profiles. You should only have one profile. As you see, I have a lot of profiles. You should only have one. And you're going to want to make sure it is the name as you want it to appear. So whatever it says within Trek that your name is, it needs to go there. Your phone number, we don't have a fax number. Your license numbers. So for some reason, put all three of these here, your office village license number. And then the agent license number is your license number. So broker agent ID, broker license number, and office ID number, put all of those as the office license number. There's a glitch happening there, and Dotloop's trying to fix it. So it auto-populates, but all three of those will work. Make sure your brokerage and associations does say village here. If it does not, then you're not logged into a village account. you have logged into your own personal account that could be free or you could be paying for. And that is for a lot of people that are watching Zoom right now. That is a very, very common error. It's like, well, I don't have the Village forms because you're not in the Village account. So make sure that does say Village. And then fill in your company information. You just need, think about whenever you're looking at auto-populate fields, is what would be a fillable line on any of our forms. That's what you want to make sure you have information of. So you're going to want Village written here. Nowhere in any form do we have to put Hunter or Aaron's name or their email. So you don't need to put anything there. If you want to, absolutely go for it, but you do not have to. And then make sure your address is correct for your office. So all this stuff is what auto-populates to the bottom of a purchase and sell agreement, and it saves you so much time. The next thing you want to check is, what do you want to be notified of, and what do you want to be emailed? For me, again, because I have access to everyone's loops, I don't want to be notified whenever a document is edited, because that means whenever any of the 150 of you that use Dotloop edit a document, I'm going to get an email and a text, and that just would not be fun. If you want that because you're going to be, with your clients, and you want to be notified if your client has gone in and edited a document, then check that box. Absolutely have the first three checked: document signed, document shared, and if your signature is required, and have those as well in your email. You can wait on the compliance because, as you know, our compliance is through VMIT, so these don't really pertain to us. So you don't have to worry about that or any kind of office tags or office rights or review. If you want to keep your checklist within Dotloop, then you're going to want to check this box for daily task reminders, because it will email you when you have a task due. So you can put in there, loan documents need to be sent to listing agent on September 27th. On September 27th, you're going to get a task reminder. So it's a great checks and balances for, contract to close type things. And then make sure you hit save. If you ever make any changes, make sure to hit save, because it does not automatically save. Okay. The next thing you want to do in your account is look at document preferences. For me, I like for anything I type into my forms to be blue, so it stands out. You can make it blue or black. You can change the font size, you can change the font script, all of those things. And whenever you change it, if you notice in this preview box here, it will change what you're doing there. So if you want it to be bold, make it bold. If you want it to be a different font, by all means, make it a different font. This is just what I like to do. You can do whatever you want. Okay. And the last thing, this is a little bit more advanced, but people ask me this all the time, is apps. You can link some apps with your Dotloop if you want to. You can go to an app directory, and there are so many things. So if you wanted to have your Dotloop automatically back up to Google Drive or Dropbox or something like that, you can connect that app and it will automatically back up your Dotloop into that app, into that system. Okay. Any questions about your account settings?
Andrea, do we need to add under Village, do we need to add, it says add association? Do we need
Is it not, it's just not showing Village?
No, I think I signed up as personal when I signed up.
What is the email you want to use?
It doesn't matter. I can use my Village email. Is that okay? Is that?
Yeah, you can use whatever you want.
I don't want to hijack the call, so you keep going and I can figure this out.
Okay. Well, also, you're more than likely you're in your own in like the free account or something you've paid for, because this should automatically show Village.
Yeah, I think so. Okay.
I also have a question. For me, the office, so I changed brokerages from East to the main office, but it still shows East in here. So how do I get that changed?
On right here?
Under brokerage and associations.
I have to do that on my end. Okay, so change Sam to main. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. I'm glad you mentioned that. I need to ask Lee who moved over because I need to make sure to move y'all over to the main branch. Thank you for bringing that up.
Sweet, thank you so much.
Yep, okay. If you ever get lost and you don't know how to get back to the main screen, you can hit the Village logo, or you can hit this kind of almost looks like a smiley face, but it's not. Either one of those will take you right back to that very first screen that we looked at right when you log in.
Andrea, this is Joanne.
Yeah.
Under the brokerage and associations, it says worksheet templates and guides, and it has 123 Main Street for me. So is there something that should be there instead of that?
Okay, wait a second. Under your profile?
Under profile, under brokerage and associations, I have the Village address, Main, and then the next line is worksheets, templates, and guides.
Oh, okay. Let me check yours as well.
Yeah, because I did have one other default account, so I could have them screwed up. I don't know.
It could. So if you notice again, like I have all these multiple things here. So like if I clicked on this one, it's going to have a different one as well.
Yeah, because I have one that's my name and then one that's a default profile. And so I'm in the one that has my name, which is, I assumed was the one you had set up for me. So
yes. I would, if any of you guys have anyone listening later on the recorded thing or anyone here right now, whatever is the profile you want to use, make that one have your photo on it. Because if you have multiple profiles, see how when I click up here on my profile, my headshot, I have all these that show up. So the one I know I always use is the one with my picture on it.
Right. Good.
So like Scott has 2 or 3 because he has 2 or 3 different emails, and you know, we came from Parks, so he has that one, and he has the Village one. And so I changed his. Like you'll see this one has Village no. Like don't use this one as an admin. Strike through Village. So yeah, do that. That would be a good little tip to make sure you're always in the right account.
Cool.
But yeah, I'll check yours. That's probably what's happening is it's your other account has pulled into.
Gotcha.
Okay, anyone else? Sounds like everybody's all set. Okay, so again, going back to loop, I'm going to go immediately into adding a loop, and then I will show you some templates later. I think adding the loop is the thing that we all need to know the most. So we're going to hit this awesome blue button over here that says add loop. So you're going to start there, and this screen's going to show up. And here you're going to write in your address. I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Main Street. Oh my gosh, there's a lot of these. Let's do Test Street, small town. Oh my gosh, this is all real. Like I've done so many of these. These are not all supposed to be real. Okay, so there is not a loop for this one. And then I like to put my client's last name. Just so then if for some reason I'm searching for a loop that there might be multiple loops with that address. So let's say Sam and I are doing a deal together, then there's going to be 2 loops for this same address. So I want to put my client's last name on it. So then I know to make sure to go to that one. If you have a client that is a buyer and a seller for you, you're going to want to put Williams listing or Williams purchase. Because again, you're going to have 2 different loops. You want to make sure every transaction has its own loop. So you don't want to have the Williams family a loop that has a folder for their buying side and for their listing side. You want to keep them separate. Okay. You can name it whatever you want. That's just what I like to do. Some agents just use their client's name. Some agents just use the address and listing. Some agents use the address and purchase. Whatever is your way of tracking and finding things is totally fine. This is just the way I do it. And then you're gonna hit continue. This part, ignore. So we are part, as you know, merged Parks Village is the same, and we're under the Parks account umbrella. And if you go down here and you hit, loop template, these are parks templates. These are not ours. And you don't need a new agent package, and you don't need a co-buyer or co-list. So just skip that part. I'm going to show you how to do it in a second. And you're going to hit continue again. If you want to upload a photo of the property or of your client, by all means do. It makes your home screen look pretty with all the different images. And you're going to hit done. And it's going to create your loop. And then you have the option to go back to your loops, create another loop, or view loop. So for now, we're going to view the loop because we're going to go into the loop and add forms and do all the fun things. We hit view loop. And this comes up. So you'll see here at the top, you can go back to your loops. If you're like, oh, I meant to do something else, you can go back to your loops here. You can hit activity log, and this will tell you everything that has been going on in the loop. Who has sent something, who has viewed something, who has signed something, who has rejected something. These two buttons you do not need to worry about right now. This is what we use vMint for. So don't worry about those two buttons. The next, under the address here, you will see select transaction type and view details. This is another one of those steps I talked about at the beginning of go on in and input all of your information so that it auto populates whenever you add a form. So you're going to hit view details. And you're going to put in all the things that you know right now so that things start auto populating on the lines in the documents that we use. So transaction type, let's see, we did purchase. What is the status? We are actually a pre-offer because we are doing the forms right now. You'll see that you have under contract, withdrawn, sold, terminated, or archived. In Dotloop, you cannot delete anything, which is a great thing and an annoying thing, both at the same time. It's great because you won't ever lose anything. It's annoying because it's always there. So you have to archive it, but you can hide archived, and I'll show you that later. So here we're in pre-offer. You've already created your custom name, and then you're going to add the people. So you are, let's say we're doing purchase. So we are the buying agent. Admin is admin. So there's nothing there. This should be whatever your office is. So if you say I scroll over, it says Village 21st. So whenever you have your office correct, then that's where that would show up. And then make sure that they're an admin as well. And then you're going to add your friends, whoever it is that is doing the deal with you. So you can see I could add Scott. I'll do it just to annoy him. And I'll put him as the listing agent because I'm the buyer's agent. You don't, if you want to put in all this information right now, you absolutely can because it will fill in and auto-populate, like I said, on the bottom of the purchase and sell agreement and any other areas that you would possibly need it. It is very convenient. I would do it, but you do not have to. I don't know his license number, so we're just going to give him that number. And then he's Nashville. It just saves a lot of time in the end. Let's see, this did not do right. So make sure that street number and then street address. Cell phone. There you go. And then you're going to add the person. Oh, I don't know why that gave. Okay. Now we're going to add the person. So then you see he's right here. He's the listing agent. And then he is now going to auto-populate anywhere that the listing agent information needs to be. Then you're also going to add your client. So I'm not going to put, let's make him the buyer. So he's the buyer now. So that will make a little bit more sense when we're doing this. Then you want to put in your, why I keep doing that, sorry. Street name. City is small town in Colorado. That's our zip. Don't know the county, let's call it Franklin County. If there's an MLS number, include the MLS number because then it's going to pull anything from RealTrax, which is super helpful as well. Then you're going to do what's our purchase price. Let's say we're representing a buyer for a $12 million purchase. Yes, I like it. Our sales commission total, if it was the list side, then you're going to put what your listing commission was going to be, the total. So 6%, unless you had to reduce your side of the commission. And if you're the buy side, you don't know the total because you don't know what the listing agent has agreed with their client. If it is a flat dollar amount, you'll see that this has a dollar amount and this has a dollar sign, but this one says rate. Rate is the percentage. Dollar sign is if it was a flat fee. So our side is 3%, 3%. Earnest money, we're going to give them $20,000 and it's held by Kearney Title. Because remember, Village does not hold earnest money. If you know the sell side commission, by all means, put it in there. If you are the listing agent, then you would put your sell side commission amount here. Hopefully 3. You don't know the contract agreement date yet, but you will have an idea of when your client wants to close. So let's say day before Halloween this year, we're going to try and close it before the ghosts and goblins come out. Our offer date would be hopefully today. You're writing it on the day that you're going to offer, but if not, you put whatever date that is that you're going to be submitting your offer. Your expiration, oh, that's all my credit cards. Never seen that come up. If you want to put in your offer expiration date, you can do that there as well. Occupancy, this will give you an actual date. So you won't fill that one out because remember that is a check the box of possession or temporary occupancy agreement. Contract info, again, going back to, have you ever seen these items on a document that need to be filled out in any transaction? No. So don't worry about filling it out. Referral, if you are giving a referral to another agent, put that in here just to help you for tracking. For a listing, you'd want to put in the listing date and the original price. Again, if you want Dotloop to be your source of all information, then you can fill out all these things so you can find it at any time. We normally do not know our clients' first and second mortgage balance, and we don't typically know if they have other liens. So you don't need to worry about that. Homeowners Association, it's kind of nice to have these in here so you always know where to find it if a buyer would ask you. Again, this is a purchase, so we don't know that right now. We might, and you can put it in here if the agent has told you. If there's anything in the property that you do not want included, any property exclusions or property inclusions that would not normally, you can absolutely put them in here, or you can just wait and type them in the purchase and sell agreement when that time comes. Geographic description, you're never going to need to put this on anything. MLS area is actually even gone. Property info, you're never going to need to put that on anything either. So you can skip that part too. And then you're going to hit save. So this section, you can see the little yellow box comes up here and says that it had been saved. So this section here is just all the details of the loop, of all the details of anything that you're going to put in the contract that could eventually be auto-populated. And it's the most tedious part because now when you go back to your loop and you're going to add documents, all of that stuff you just put in, you're never going to have to type again. So it's going to save you so much time in filling out your documents. You're never going to have to type the address again, all of those kind of things. So now we're going to talk about adding the documents themselves. But before I do that, are there any questions regarding adding details? Perfect. Okay, so there are 3 different ways that you can add documents into your loop. You can do it through the templates that I'm going to show you in a second. You can browse and search any PDF on your computer, and it will drop it into the folder. Or you can email it. So when you click the email button, you would just email this address here, and it will automatically push it into the Loop folder. You can also drag and drop. So if you had a document on your computer and you have it handy, or from an email and you don't want to save it to the computer and you don't want to email it to the computer, you can just drag it over and drop it into this box. Okay. So we're going to do templates because this is where all of our forms live. So you'll click on templates and this will show up. You're going to have personal, you're going to have inbox, you're going to have village master folder, you're going to have listing docs resell, you're going to have listing docs new construction, you're going to have buying docs, and you're going to have all the TAR forms. If you want, this is second level that we'll get to if we have more time. You see, I have a Your Team Nashville forms folder. So I will show you how to add your own folder if you have forms that you use regularly, like Will and Hampton and Ann have Swanee forms they have to use all the time. So they have a Swanee folder of forms that they have to use if they ever sell anything in Swanee. And so that's where those forms live for them. So we're representing a buyer. So we're going to click buying docs. And here are all the documents that you could ever possibly need for the buy side, especially at the beginning. So you're going to check all the forms you need. You're going to check the box. So we know we need our trusted service providers. We know we need the control sheet. We know we need the authorization and waivers. We know we need the buyer's rep. We may or may not need confirmation of agency. The reason I say may or may not is hopefully the listing agent has put the confirmation of agency disclosure on the real tracks under documents. And so then you would grab it from there and not take a blank one. So you already have one filled out by the sell side. If it's a listing side, of course, you would click it here because you're going to initiate that form. Disclaimer notice, we need that. We obviously need a purchase and sell agreement. And we definitely want to get paid. So we're going to add our compensation agreement. We're just in the pre-offer stage, so we don't need the counteroffer. We don't need an amendment yet. We don't need the repair proposal. We don't need the repair replacement amendment either. So we're just not going to check those. When you have everything checked that you want, let's say that there's something you need that's not in this folder. Let's say you need personal interest disclosure. You can then click on the TAR forms and you can search personal interest disclosure. So I just start typing it and all the forms come up. And now I'm going to add that one. I'm going to check that one too. So now you can see over here under buying docs, I have 7 checked. So you can go in between these templated folders and check multiple things. You don't have to do like, okay, I'm going to get my buying docs. I'm going to load those in. Now I'm going to go to the TAR forms and get the other documents that I may need. You can do it all one-stop shop. And you can always come back here if you forget a document. So we have all of our things here. All of them are checked. As soon as we have all the forms that we think we need right now, we hit the button copy. We hit copy. It's importing, 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 creating the documents. We got our pretty little check mark and we hit OK. And then there they all are. Ignore this required right now. It's not, I don't know how to make it go away. We're working on that too. Again, Dotloop is not our VMint. It is not our compliance. That would be if Dotloop was our compliance and we did not have VMint, you would not be able to turn in your forms until any document that says required has been completed and turned in. That's what that means. I get asked that a lot. All right, so we have all of our documents loaded. Any questions about loading the documents that you may want? All right, I got lots of thumbs up. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to start filling out all the documents. I am a little bit of an organizational person. And so here I would stop and I would reorganize my folder. And I would organize them in the order that I want my client to review and sign them. So the first thing I'm going to put up at the top is my buyer's rep agreement. So how you do that, you see when the little hand comes up, the little, not the hand, I'm sorry, the little thing, little plus sign, you click on it and then you just drag it wherever you want it to go. Make sense? It's kind of one of those things. It's hard to show that on Dotloop. So the first thing I want is my exclusive buyer's rep. The next thing I want is my purchase and sell agreement. And then I want my confirmation of agency, whether I loaded that in myself or drag it in through RealTrax. Then I'm going to want my disclaimer. Again, this is just me. You can put them in any order that you want. And then I need my required village document forms. And I put the compensation agreement towards the end because my buyer doesn't look at it. Only the listing agent does. But again, you order them however you want to. And if you do have a personal interest disclosure, you want that to be first, because you need to remember, you always disclose if you have any personal interest right then. Like, you do not hesitate to disclose. My computer's about to die. You do not hesitate to disclose that. So that's even the first form that they ever see. The next thing I like to do, just again, kind of being a little organizational, I like to change my folder name. So let's say, you have on the listing side, you have listing documents, and then you have multiple different offers. Every offer you get, you want it to have its own folder, then everything all in the same folder, because it just gets jumbled and confusing. So to change your folder name, you're going to hit the little 3 dots over here, and you're going to see rename. So I'm going to call it offer folder. Again, that's just me. You do you. However it works for you is fine. If you need to add another folder, there's just a button here that says add folder. And it looks just the same as you did it before. Let's get rid of it. Okay. If you wanted to change the name of any of these, again, you have the capability of doing that. Again, you just hit the 3 dots, and you can rename it over here. We'll get into these other things as well, but since I showed you, you could rename the folder, I thought I might as well show you that. And the next thing you do is you just start at the top and go through your forms. So we're going to start at personal interest disclosure. It's going to show up. It's going to tell you, do you want to autofill? Yes, absolutely. Double check everything just in case. Okay, my buyer is Scott. I don't know who the seller is yet. I don't have their information. You don't want to put your seller in your loop. You only put your client in your loop. That is one thing I cannot stress enough. You have your own loop. The other side has their own loop. Otherwise, the buyer and the seller will be able to see each other's forms. And that's something we're not supposed to do until we're ready to present them. Okay. Make sure all this is correct, and then you click autofill. And it's going to fill in all of the information. I did not put in that I was the one with the personal interest. And then you say, how am I, what is my interest here? Let's see. The licensee, an immediate family member of the licensee is a prospective buyer. Since Scott's my buyer, he's my husband, he's my immediate family member. That's what I check there. You can see you can check boxes. You can check as many as you want. You can type in the other. So anything outlined in blue is something you can control. You can type in it, you can delete it, you can check it, you can add signatures. If it is not in a box, so like this, any other individual, organization, or business entity, those words, I cannot edit those words. You can only edit the outlined in blue boxes. And then you'll see buyer already says Scott sign here. And then if for some reason you had not put him in, you click on whatever it is, the buyer sign here, and you'll see something, this little box showed up. So I'm going to unclick it and watch up here. So there's nothing up there. I click on the signature field, and this box comes up here that I can do things. So I can assign it to whomever I want to. I can assign it to no one, anyone, or I can give it its own role, or I can add a person. Okay. Another thing to note here is when you want to type into a box, again, notice what happens under this blue box. I'm going to click a field that I can type into and a box comes up. So here again, I can assign it to somebody. I can change my fonts. I can change the size of it. I can align it left, center, or right. I can make it bold, italic. I can strike through. I can change the color of it. I can highlight it. I can add a clause. I'll get to that in the purchase. Or I can see the history of that field. So let's say I'm writing village real estate. There we go. And I want it instead to be blue, and I want it to be bold and italicized. See how I could change all of that just using these? And I want it to be smaller. So you can change all of that in there. Okay, I'm going to hit save, and now we're going to do the next form. And so there'll be more questions when the next form comes up. You hit save. Once this goes gray, it has been saved. And then you hit the back button and it takes you back to your folder. The next one we have is exclusive buyer representation. I'm not going to open that one because I want to show you something in the purchase and sell. It's the exact same thing. You just go through the lines, auto-populate what you can, and then you just go through the lines of the contract and make sure that they are filled out properly. Purchase and sell agreement. Again, you're going to get the autofill button. I noticed that, my buyer's correct. I'm the buying agent. That's correct. I don't have the listing agent loaded in because I'm going to save the documents and email them to her instead of share via Dotloop. And my address is correct. My buyer agent is correct for everything to go at the bottom of the contract. My purchase and sell is $12 million. I'm going to give them $20,000 up front, and Kearney Title is going to hold it. My buyer is Scott, says it again. My offer date is today. I don't need to put in the HOA information or property inclusions or exclusions because I'm going to type those in myself. And we don't need geographic descriptions. So we're going to hit autofill and everything's going to go in. Whatever was autofilled shows up in yellow. You can still edit it. You can still change it if you need to. It just shows you what the system put in for you based on the information you put in at the beginning. And just like the other forms, you're going to go through and you're going to add in who is Catherine Scarborough is our seller. She's going to make $12 million today. Woohoo!
Oh, yeah. Woo!
You didn't know you owned 1, 2, 3, 3, 4, 5 Test Street, did you?
I didn't, but glad I do.
Yeah. So yeah, you put all that in here. If I like to, and I don't know how your mentor has trained you, but on line number 10, I always, because it is, you get something bad happens once and you learn and you just start doing more things than you should. It's why the contract's 9 pages instead of 1, because attorneys got involved because somebody got sued. I always like to go in and find the property tax ID through the CRS that we have through RealTrax and put the parcel ID on there. So then if the title company sees, whoa, wait a minute, parcel ID is this and the address is that, and those don't match. This is not the parcel ID for that address. I need to call someone and make sure that we're all on the same page and the correct property is getting sold. So it just further clarifies. A lot of this is because tracts like in Ashland City, there's a street that hasn't been sold before. And so they're all 0 Simmons. I have one right now. So 0 Simmons Court. There's like 5 0 Simmons Courts on that street. So I want to make sure I'm referencing the correct parcel ID. So I always add that in. Just my thing, doesn't have to be your thing, but I think it helps. The next part is what remains. This is not a contract class, so I'm not going over contract rules. This is just how to fill the contract via Dotloop. You're going to type in here what remains, the refrigerator. You'll notice I started typing and things showed up. I'm going to show you that in a second. So ignore that right now. I don't want the oven. It is awful. It is gross. I don't want to deal with getting it out. So Catherine, you're going to have to remove the oven for me. If you agree in negotiating. So then again, like you are literally just going through the lines. If you need to fill it out, fill it out. If you need to check the box, you can check the box. Financing contingency, again, you put all these things in. It is not contract class. So now I'm going to show you the next thing with Dotloop that I think is awesome. A lot of you guys will call your broker or your mentor and ask, how do I write a sale of home contingency? Or how do I write whatever it is? When you click on special stipulations and you start typing sell, you see how I started typing sell? All of these show up that have anything to do with that word. So if you just start typing it, it should, we call it something else. It should just start populating. Just thinking too much right now. I just confused it.
That's amazing.
If you want to do it that way, that's awesome. Or if you come back up here, the second from the end, if you scroll over it, see it says add clause. You click that button and all the clauses ever are all right here. You can search it. Square footage contingency. This is something that I've actually gotten a lot of calls about. The square footage is not the same. And so a buyer got burnt on it. So the buyer now wants to make sure that it's contingent on the square footage being the same. So there's that. Contingent on sale of property. So that's how that's worded for anyone that was following along there when I was trying to write that. Let's say we want to put this in here. You check the circle and then you hit add and there it is. And then you just come up here and you put whatever the street is in Nashville, Tennessee.
Now, Andrea, on the special stipulations, like in the past, we've had like our standard stipulations that, we have through, I guess, TREC or the association. Then we had specific ones from Village. Is there a way in this clause or in the special stipulations to add in custom stipulations?
Yes, I love that. Okay, so in these clauses right here that is in this box I just pulled up, these are all the ones that were in, do you remember the TAR form, the special?
Yes, that's the one I was referring to. Yeah.
Perfect. These are all of those, plus the 2 or 3 that we have formulated with Loy here at Village to help write, appraisal discrepancy contingency, the whole situation about, the buyer agrees to pay $20,000 over appraisal value if there's a gap between contract price and appraisal value.
Yes.
That clause is in here too.
Oh, cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So any of the ones that we have done through Village or we're on that TAR form, they're in here.
Okay.
And I'm going to make a note to show you how to add your own clause. So yes, if you have something that you write a lot, then I can show you how to add that in, that then you can grab it yourself. And it would only be in your loop, not in everyone's within our systems, Dotloop.
Okay.
So yeah, when I figured that out, it was like the holy grail for me. I
know, because this is where I spend the most time. I'm like, okay, I got to make sure I get this written in here because this is what I put on mine.
Right.
So,
is there a question?
Yeah, it might be a silly question, but all of these spaces on the contract that you add, what's staying with the house, what's not staying, the special steps. What if you have just a lot of steps or a lot of items? Are they going to fit in this paragraph, or is it going to just let you add as much as you want? I don't know if that's a silly question.
No, it's a great question. So you'll see you can change the font size. 8 point is the lowest you can go. So if it will not fit in here, then you need to add, see Exhibit A for additional special stipulations. And if you have something that long, then you just attach it as an exhibit. which then would also be part here, number 17. So I would put it in both.
Right.
Exhibit A, special stipulations, and then under special stipulations, see Exhibit A for special stipulations. It's a great question. And that will happen a lot in not builder contracts, but if a buyer is purchasing a builder's property and the builder does not have his own contract, you're using the TAR form, you're more than likely going to need another piece of paper for all of the special steps in new construction.
Okay, thank you.
Good question. Okay, so then finally on here, you want to make sure that the initial is right, where Scott's going to sign is right. You'll notice the offer date automatically showed up because I put it in before. And then you'll see all of my information auto-populated here. If you had put in anything about the HOA, that would have populated here. And if you had put in anything about the listing agent, it would have auto-populated here. Okay, then you hit save. It saves it. And then you can hit the back button to go back to the loop. One more thing I want to show on the TAR forms, you can come up here and you can see, you can add initials, add signatures, and add strike through. So let's say your client wants to omit this part of the contract. They don't like method of execution. You can strike through this entire line. Okay. I do not suggest doing this on the TAR form, but if for some reason, like you're doing leases or you have another PDF that you've loaded in and you need to change some things, you do have that tool. And then if ever you do a strike through, make sure to add an initial in the margin, assign it to Scott. Okay. The last thing is if for some reason you have a crazy attorney and they want the buyer or the seller to sign every single page, you see how I just added another signature box? You can add another signature box. If you have 3 people, for some reason 3 people have to sign. So let's say it's Scott, me, and our daughter is buying this property at 9 years old. Way to go, Anna Noel. You can add another signature box here. You'll notice it will not allow me to overlap my boxes. So you see how it goes away. So if I try and put it there, it'll tell me it can't do it. So then you just put it wherever you can. If you've put it there and you don't like it, you can still move it around. Just grabbing it just like before. Okay. That's all on how you can edit the document. You can fill in the forms like we said, or you come up here to the add drop-down menu. You can add signatures, initials, and strike through. Other things you can do with the form is save it, print it, download it. We'll go over split document in a second. If you forgot to autofill, you can autofill it here. If you wanted to look at the notes, task, document history, you can do it here. You can also host in-person signing. It is very clunky. I don't recommend it. If the person is sitting right next to you, just have them pull up their email and follow the link. It makes you sign out and then them sign in and then you have to sign back in. It's meh. It's way easier. Just email it to them and let them sign it. One thing to mention here, we just filled out the purchase and sell offer and we are super excited and we got a little bit ahead of ourselves and we hit save and share. Try not to do that. The reason being is you want to get all the documents sent to your client so they get one email with one link to sign all the documents. If you do save and share on each document, they're going to get 10 different emails and they're going to miss one. And then you're going to have to, I mean, it's not hard to figure out, but you're going to have to go figure it out and then resend it. And it's just, you know, we have technology to make things easier. So just always save it. Don't ever share from this screen. So it'll help you. So then you go back to the folder. Okay. Now we have all the forms, and see how everything here says nothing has been shared yet, which is great. Let's pretend like we have sent everything already. And we want to, let's pretend like we have filled everything out already. We're going to check the ones that we want to send to our client. Again, we don't need to send our client the control sheet. So I'm not going to check that one. And we don't need to send our client the compensation agreement. So whichever ones you want to send, you check those and you'll see this awesome share button showed up. You hit share and it comes up of who you're going to send it to. Let's say, oh, I forgot, Scott's mom wants to review all the documents I send. So I'm going to send it to her as well. And add in her email. She doesn't have a role because she's not a buyer. She just wants to review it. And I make sure she's in view only because I don't want her to be able to edit anything. So you'll see in the drop down here, the person you're sharing it with has an option to view it, sign it, fill it and sign it, or edit it in private. Always for anyone who has no authority to sign, they're just, the parent or the kid of the parent, view only. And then for your client that needs to sign, only sign. Don't let them be able to fill it. If they need to fill something out, have them come into the office and y'all work on paper. And definitely never let anyone edit in private because then you can't see what they're doing. Okay. The next thing I always do whenever I'm sharing my forms is I reiterate to my client, here are our forms we discussed. Please review again to ensure I filled in as you requested. If all looks okay, sign when you're available. Thanks, Andrea. The reason I do that is someone has gotten sued. There's always a reason, right? Someone's gotten sued. Someone has gotten sued because they sent a document and the agent didn't fill it out correctly and the client just clicked the button and signed it. They did not review it themselves because they trusted that the agent filled it out the way that they needed to. I don't know who won that lawsuit. I'm just saying that it happened. So that's why I do it. And so you want to make sure to tell them, review this. When you review it and it all looks okay, sign it. If there are any changes, you can word this however you want to. Please review. If you see any changes that we need to make, let me know. I can make the changes. Otherwise, sign when you're able. Like just reiterate to them that they need to review it before they sign it. And don't just say sign here, because then they're going to say you forced them to sign something that they did not want. Okay. You'll see here in this little box, attach PDF to email. If you are sharing with the other side's agent, if you're, again, right now we're the purchase side, we're the buyer. If you're sharing with the listing agent through Dotloop, always attach the forms via PDF to the email because not everyone uses Dotloop and not everyone likes Dotloop. If you share it with the other agent, the cooperative agent through Dotloop, and they have to click on a link, their heads are going to explode. You can share it via Dotloop because it's easier for you. Just make sure it's attached to the email. And at that point, let's say Scott's actually the agent. Here is our offer. You can find the forms via the link below, or I also have them attached via PDF. Thanks, look forward to working with you, blah, 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 Andrea. Make sense? Questions here?
I have a question.
Yes.
Do our clients need Dotloop? Like, do they need the app? Or just an email address?
Just an email. Because if they want the app, they absolutely can download it. But all they need, it will come to them in an email to review and sign. And they just hit the link and it takes them to a website. Okay. And they don't have to create an account if they don't want to, but they absolutely can.
Okay, thanks.
Good question. All right, when you have it all ready, you hit share and it sends it off. I'm not actually going to share this with Scott because he will lose his mind. Like, why did you send me all these forms? Any questions there at all?
I have a question.
Yes.
I was trained in transaction desk, but this seems so much more user-friendly. And I did a deal with an agent back in April and he uses this. So I've been excited to learn it. Are there any reasons that you would say this is maybe better than transaction desk?
All the reasons is why it's better than transaction desk.
Yeah, after this, I'm like, oh my God, this is so much better.
It's so much easier. It's so, to me, it's easier. It's more streamlined. It's more user-friendly. Everything's right here. You don't have to then go to Authentisign to get the signature and then put it back in transaction desk. It's all here. The other thing with this is what I'm kind of pushing, I probably should stop recording this. What I'm pushing for is that we can start using this submit for review button. Mm-hmm. It's in the works, that you then don't have to. So again, we use VMint, so we're kind of getting a little ahead of ourselves because we are out of time. But if everyone wants to stay on and listen, by all means, you would have to download every single one of these forms individually. So your buyer's rep agreement, download. Mm-hmm. Creates a PDF, there it is. And then, because you remember you have to load it into VMint one at a time.
Right.
So then download, and then it goes in, so on and so forth. Eventually, maybe you have all this filled out, you can hit this button up here, submit for review, and it sends it to me and whatever office compliance department person is. So like 21st, it will go to me and Evie and Rachel. So it goes to your OA, your compliance person, and your broker and the admin. And
wow, that would be amazing.
Right. Here's my offer folder. I need you to review it. Why am I submitting it under contract? And then they're going to load it all into under contract. Yay. You can write, only we see that. No one else sees those messages. And then you submit it. And then I get an email. Catherine has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Test Street ready for review. And then I click it. I can then review all the pages and I can send you notes like, hey, this isn't right. Hey, you forgot this signature. Or I can be like, all good, way to go. You're all set. So that's in the works.
That's the dream.
Yeah. Secret. When Hunter, I really doubt Hunter rewatches these recordings, but if he ever does, he'll be like,
So Andrea, did you show us how to add a clause or did I miss that?
Nope, I'm getting there.
Okay.
One last thing I want to show in this loop. Let's say your listing agent has accepted your contract. So you're going to hit the add document and you're going to pull up the email and you're going to drag and drop the accepted offer into your folder. At that time, you're going to come up here and you're no longer a pre-offer, you're under contract. And then you'll notice all these things change. Like now we have our close date has shown up, our purchase price, we're under contract, and it's all pretty and all the details are here that you need for at a glance. If and when you do have that signed purchase and sell agreement, you're going to want to change the name. So let's say this is actually the one that they sent, because you're going to have an offer. Because remember, we don't get rid of any forms. Everything stays. And you're going to want to differentiate what is what, because people are going to ask you for forms and you're going to be like, oh man, which one is the bound one? Which one was the original offer? So make sure to rename them. That's why I like to rename. So offer, and let's say this was the bound and accepted. Whoop. Why is this not working? Bound and accepted purchase and sell. Does that make sense? And then again, if you want to take it to the top, because it's the, say you want to download all of them into one PDF to be able to send to the title company. You can, whatever you click, the title company doesn't need the buyer's rep. The title company doesn't need the disclaimer or our trusted real estate, village stuff. The title company doesn't need the control sheet. They need our actual forms. You can check all of them and it will download it into one PDF that then you can send them, here's our bound contract for such and such property. Okay, so that's all I was going to show you on loops for right now. And then I'm going to show you how to add a clause, and we'll call it a day, and we'll do another training that's another step up. Okay, so you're going to go back up here. So you have, if you notice on the right-hand side, you have reporting, you have loops, you have tasks, you have all the people. People is anyone and everybody that you have ever sent a document to in Dotloop. And then you have templates. Templates is where the templates live. Kind of what we were talking about earlier with, you know, your personal, your inbox, if you do your own folder, your village docs, your listing docs. If you want to add your own folder of documents, this is where you do it here, new folder. Create folder, and then you can load in the forms. And you just load in the forms by adding a document. Same way, browsing, drag and dropping, or pulling them from template. And then you have your tasks. If you have any tasks, you know, your listing checklist, your buyer's checklist, this is again that contract to close. If you want to use this as a checks and balances for yourself, this is where you would have your checklists. And then you have your clauses. Here are all the clauses. And on this right button right here, this on the blue bar on the right-hand side says add new clause. You click that and you type Jan Walters special language. And then you add it in and it's always there.
I love that.
Yeah, it's awesome. And if for some reason, like you have an attorney that you like their appraisal contingency better, by all means, put it in. It's not going to replace the one that we have. It's just going to add it to yours. It does not come to, like, Jan, if you put one in, it's not going to go to Catherine. It's only going to be in yours.
Right.
Now, if I put it in, it's going to everybody. Okay. Cool. Anything else? Do we love it?
I love it.
Yeah, awesome. It's great. I think I'll wait for the next level to ask the next question. Because
no, ask it just in case. Go on and ask it.
Well, if I was the listing agent and I have disclosures and I want to send them to my client to do, because especially my younger clients prefer to do it with their computer versus hand filling it out. Plus you can read it. Mm-hmm. I've struggled with that in knowing how to get that out there.
Okay, so here is a listing that I had. And this is a great time to show this. So you'll notice I have my listing paperwork folder here. And then I didn't actually change the name. This is actually my contract folder. You'll notice up here, this is great to show right now. I'm going to answer your question, I promise.
Okay.
Here, if I click show archived, I'll see everything that I archived. That, you know, because I didn't need the counter offer because that one wasn't signed. I want the signed one. So then hide archive. And if I want to just send, I think this is what you're asking, disclosures, like just one in particular, or?
No, like the property condition disclosure that my seller needs to fill out.
Okay, I actually want to show you this awesome feature. Okay, I'm going to go back to Main Street. I'm sorry, I thought you just meant like all disclosures.
No, specifically where they have to fill in the form.
So this isn't perfect yet. Other forms, just so we have it. We are going to grab on the listing documents. So notice this too, like we have in here, whatever the 3 different disclosures you might need. If you scroll over it, it gives you the full name. So make sure you're grabbing, you know, you don't need the disclosure update yet. You're not doing the exemption. We're doing the actual disclosure. Make sure you're grabbing the right one. I've done it so many times, grabbing the wrong one. And then you add it in there. You click this. Your mind's about to be blown. We are going to, I'm not going to autofill because I want to show you. So I'm just going to go to a page that has a lot of stuff. So right here.
Yeah.
If you notice, again, under this big blue box here, if I click on something, it tells me I can assign it. So I can assign it to the seller. And then when it goes gray, that is assigned to the seller. Now, nobody wants to go through here and click every single box and assign it to the seller, right?
Yes.
So just like you can use a cursor to highlight things, you put your finger down and you start drawing the square and it highlights all of those fields and you can assign them all at once to the seller.
Cool.
Now,
I'm like, how the hell am I going to?
Yeah, it's so annoying. Now, the only annoying part is like it's still a total time saver. You can only do what is showing in the screen.
Right.
So I can't draw this box and then it keep going. See, I can't go any further than what's shown in the screen.
But you can do it in sections.
You can do it in sections.
Cool.
Yeah. And then you see these other little cheats just showed up over here. This is definitely second level. I love it. But you can, use your Command Shift %, and it copies it, and then you can paste it somewhere else. So these are other little shorthand if you wanted to. That's more for like if you've loaded in your own PDF. Like there was a time in my life I did a lot of leases, and with leases, a lot of times you had 6 different signatures, two tenants, 2 landlords, and both agents on either side, and you have to initial every single page. I could copy the very first page of all 6 initials and then paste them into every page after that, so I don't have to do it every single time. Other just little things.
Cool. So you select it all, and then you're going to share it with them, the ability to edit it and fill it.
And just make sure, the other thing you can do is you can assign it to anyone.
Yeah.
So anyone can fill it out. I have done that before with like my sellers that are husband and wife or couples, partners, and they both skip over it. So I asked them on the front end, who wants to be responsible for filling out the purchase or the property condition disclosure? And then I assign it to that person. So they cannot send it back to me until all of their assigned fields are filled out.
Cool.
Yeah, which is awesome. Great question. I love that. I'm not going to save any of that because I'm not really sure what all I did. I might have just sent it to Scott. Okay, anything else?
I just want to clarify. So if you use Dotloop, you don't need to use Transaction Desk.
Correct.
Like it doesn't do anything more than the other one. They're interchangeable. It's just a matter of preference.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. You'll have to use these.
Can you, if you have done transactions in Transaction Desk, would you move them into Dotloop, or is that not a thing?
You can if you want to, but you don't have to. If you want to switch, if you're in a current transaction and you want to switch it to Dotloop, then yes, you would want to download them from Transaction Desk and drag and drop them in, or email them into the loop.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because I did that when Andrea put me on Dotloop, and I just started with the next transaction, and then I could go back and reference any of the old ones. They're still out there for you as for eternity, or until they take Authenticide.
Right. Anything else?
No, this is great. Thank you so much.
One more thing I'm going to note is make sure filters shows off. I cannot tell you how many times agents have called me and they're like, my loop disappeared. My loop disappeared. I'm like, loops cannot disappear. Make sure your filters are off, because if you have filters on, then it's only going to show you these filtered, if you have, only archived or hide archived or anything like that, then you want to make sure filters says off. You don't want filters on. Okay. It's just, for me, it's, then everything shows up. Okay. Well, there's nothing else. This was so much fun, guys. Thanks for showing up.
Well, thanks.
This is great.
This is very helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks for asking questions throughout the process. So I wasn't just sitting here gabbing. If you get stuck or anything happens, text me, email me, call me, and I will help you through it. It is a learning curve. To me, it's super intuitive because I've been doing it for so long. But I do know there is a learning curve. So if you need help, do not hesitate to ask. And Lindsay, I will get you guys added right now. So you'll get a welcome email. And then Catherine, text me. I'm going to check yours, but text me the email address that you want to use for the village system, and I'll add that too.
Okay, perfect.
And Jan, I'll double check yours.
Yeah, and I put a picture out there so you'll know which one I'm using. So
perfect.
Okay.
Thanks, everybody.
Can you post your contact information in the chat?
I'm sorry?
Can you post your contact information in the chat? In case there's questions.
3, 4, 7. Enter. There you go. There's my email. There's my phone. Text is easiest at first because I'm on a lot of training calls and meeting with agents. So text me, hey, I have a quick Dotloop question, or text me the question and I'll be able to call you when I have a break. Awesome. You're going to love it, especially like getting starting with Dotloop instead of transaction desk. That's what I would suggest. Totally up to you though. Play around with both and see which one you like better.